Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your Tuesday edition of the Morning Jog. My name is Matt Cohan, and I'm joined, as always, by the ravishing Francis Ellis and Robbie Berger. How are we today, fellas?
Yeah, dude, I've been ravishing people left and right.
Another day, another dollar. Matt, before you proceed, can you please show the people that coffee mug? Look at the size of this.
Dude, this is about 64 ounces, you know?
Could put flowers in that thing. It's a flower vase as far as I'm concerned.
You know, I need as much coffee as I can get to put up with your takes, you know?
Oh, wow.
I'm Jake. You know I love you. I wouldn't joke around with you if I didn't love you, Robbie.
You do an Irish coffee in that thing, you're on the floor by the end.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, let's get into it. You know, I'm a prideful guy. You know, I don't like asking for help, but I need you guys to help me make sense of Bill Wennington's goatee situation. Bill is currently rocking the official goatee of the Arkansas Police Department, and every time he comes on the screen, I can't help but guzzle a Colt 45. Francis, do you find Wennington's tickler as jarring as I do?
You know, it just sort of makes me think that, like, if you've ever wondered who still goes to Metallica concerts, it's guys with what he's rocking on his face. And I like that. I kind of dig that. I've never really been a big Metallica guy myself, but I know that if I became a fan of their music, I would grow that sort of a is it a goatee? Is that what you're calling it?
I think it's a goatee, right?
Yeah, I think it's a goatee.
It's a goatee. So, you know, it's cool. I kind of dig it. I've always been jealous of guys that manicure their facial hair. I've only ever grown a beard one time, and I went full bore and then hated it. So good for him and big fan. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, Francis, you were given a Metallica. I'm not going to go quite that. I'd say Chris Daughtry, just like kind of 2 steps down, you know?
Yeah, okay, fine.
Robbie, what's your take?
Yeah, you know what? I'm digging the tickler. I really am. I happen to really enjoy the goatee. You know, the thing with Wennington where I kind of feel bad is this guy kind of came in and out of his career. He had a good little career. He got out of there when he needed to get out of there. Not that many people remember him. So he agrees to do this documentary, and he probably never thought there'd be this many people critiquing, you know, his goatee. So I kind of feel for him in that regard because I don't think he saw this coming. He's getting a lot more airtime than probably he expected. You know, when I thought Michael Jordan documentary, I didn't think of, you know, Bill Wennington. But I dig it. I really do. I really like it. I hope he sticks with it and doesn't let the trolls get to him.
Yeah, it's like manicured, like really. It's like TPC Sawgrass. It's like perfect. So he's got to have a guy or something. I don't know. All right, fellas. Now that we've addressed Wennington's, shall I say, tickler, we can move on to less important things, like whether or not Michael Jordan is a sociopathic danger to society, fellas. I mean, there have been so many stories coming out left and right about Jordan's ruthful competitiveness. 96 NBA Finals, Jordan said he was extra motivated to crush the Sonics because their head coach, George Karl, didn't say hello to him when he saw him at a restaurant. Or LeBradford Smith dropped 37 on the Bulls and mocked Jordan by saying, "Nice game, Mike." The next game, Jordan went out and scored 37 at the half and admitted to reporters years later that Smith never made the nice game comment and that he just made it all up to motivate himself. There have been so many stories like this with Jordan making up monsters in his head. Robbie, how do these stories sit with you?
Well, first off, a tip of the cap to this Scott Burrell, because you talk about a guy who just took an absolute beating day in, day out, and just really wore it. You know, it looks like the solution to all. If you want him to stop, you pull a Steve Kerr, clock him in the face. You know you're going to get clocked back and even harder. But I think Jordan, as Kerr said, really appreciated him for that. So it looked like that was the approach. What I thought of that would be funny, basketball's the only career or any, you know, athlete, only athletes could get away with that type of treatment. You imagine like a Wendy's line staff tried to talk that way to another's Wendy's line staff. It would never happen. They would never forget a condiment. They would never forget another straw. So it would be good for the consumer, but there's no way the person flipping the burgers is going to let the person making the fries talk to them that way. basketball is really the only sport or profession you could do that in.
Leave it to you to bring in fast food for something like this, dude.
It was right there for me. Yeah.
It's funny you say that because it's also like Jordan. So Kerr is there and Will Perdue is there. Two people that Michael Jordan literally punched in the face, and they're sitting there interviewing and just singing this guy's praises. I don't think there's another human being in the world who could have that happen to. Francis?
That's the solution. Punch him in the face.
What was that old SNL sketch where they were like, Bob Boxer, whatever, they're all sitting around drinking beers and toasting that guy.
Oh yeah, it's like with Ditka, or it's with Will Ferrell.
No, it wasn't that one. And but they were like, he punched all of us in the faces and we still loved him.
I know exactly the one you're talking about. You know what
I'm talking about. It's hysterical. It's embarrassing. I can't remember it. But look, here's the thing. You have to wonder, like, what is it, if Michael Jordan reads into every little thing this much, and is able to use the tiniest infractions or exchanges with people to motivate himself to dominate an NBA game. Like, what do you think it's like to text with this guy? Meaning, imagine if you texted him K. If Michael Jordan was like, hey, want to play golf tomorrow? Not that he would ever say that. And then you were just like, K. Would he then like meet you on the golf course and break the course record simply because of
Can't win with the guy.
Yeah. It's not. We've said this before. I don't think it's fun to be around him. I don't think it's relaxing. I don't know. I think it's impressive what he did, but I think that in terms of like life after and finding peace in the realm of Michael Jordan, you're not going to find much.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I'm surprising he hasn't gone completely off the rails yet. He's been like, with that type of mentality, it's like he's doing pretty well, all things considered here. All right, fellas, let's roll into our final segment here. Speaking of underdeveloped brains, a proposal by Bloomberg's Mike Petrilli called Halftime High is suggesting that high school students come into school half the time we did, on an every other day schedule or morning or afternoon shifts rather than attending school for 6 hours a day. The proposal was brought on by the idea that students only learn when they are focused, engaged, and putting in effort. Yet surveys have long shown that teenagers spend most of their day bored, zoned out, and only pretending to listen. The Halftime High schedule will be a necessity for upcoming fall semester because the only way for schools to maintain social distance in crowded buildings is to operate well below capacity. Robbie, is this the path forward or just another coddling of America's youth here?
Matt, you mentioned undeveloped brains, and that way I knew I was going first. I knew you weren't going to start with the Harvard kid. I find it very interesting. I really do, because these kids, and Francis, I think you mentioned it in your blog, as far as if who decides if you get the afternoon shift or the morning shift. Sleeping in was always something, a dream of ours in high school growing up. It's a very tough decision, because if you do take the morning, if you suck up getting up, then, you get it out of the way. You still have the full day ahead of you, and then all the afternoon kids are jealous with you. I consider it with how fast things are going to be moving. You go into math class, you do a quick problem on fractions, boom, you break, you go over to the gym, you shoot a jump shot, on to the next class. Everything's going to be very sped up. These kids are going to be dealt with a very tough situation if you want the morning or afternoon shift, in my eye.
Yeah, but really quick, Robbie, at what age did you become someone who was like, you know what, it's better to get it out of the way? Like, what percentage of high school kids are actually going to opt for the morning? I didn't learn the value of getting shit done until I was like 28.
I agree, and that's why I think a small percentage will go with the morning, but it goes to show the battle that they're going to have to see who does get that afternoon shift, because odds are people are going to want that, yes.
Yeah. I got to say, like, do you guys remember how – I don't know about you guys. Staying awake in high school
It's the worst.
High school was the worst job I ever had in terms of the conditions and the hours. It was the worst, most inhumane treatment I've ever received. I mean, having to wake up at 6:30 like I'm a fisherman. 6:30 in the morning when my body was growing 4 inches a year and I was, bursting at the seams, oozing my pubescent testosterone. I just having to deal with that, and then like going into AP US history at 8:15 and having to take notes. Nothing worked yet. Nothing worked at that hour. So I do think that having an every other day or, one day morning, the next day afternoon shift thing will actually be a much better scenario. At the same time, I have a resentment towards kids if they get this and if this is the way things go moving forward, because we didn't have it. We had to suck it up. Do you remember this? You guys remember this?
Oh, yeah. I would do a little bit of a tilt.
Yeah, that right here.
If you saw that angle right there, I'm out.
I would scratch the insides of my eyes with my pinkies to pretend as though I was itching my eyes and not just falling asleep.
You know why I really feel for you, Francis, is when you say AP history too, that's a different ballgame. I mean, that you have no choice as far as the people that you're with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Me,
Nerds.
I can afford that.
Did you take APs, Robbie?
The farthest thing from it. And it was one of those classes where you just look into the window and you knew what level class it was.
Yeah. You just took history. That's it. That was what it was called.
Right.
It was just history.
All right, fellas.
What?
There it is, your Tuesday edition of the Morning Jog. Thank you for listening. We're back here, same time, same place tomorrow. Peace.